Hey guys, hope everyone's well. We're just going to be diving back into another playtest for this effectively final demo. When I say final, this will probably still be updated, but the main mechanics of the game will probably stay the same, like 99% stay the same. I don't think I'm going to do any large overhauls from here. It took a while, it took longer than I expected, but how it feels now is like good. I really enjoy it. We've been having fun playtesting in real life. And yeah, I'm just going to get straight into it pretty much. So for a 2-player game, and by the way guys, like this has changed a lot, so you know, it's there's a lot new, I guess, but I'll be getting through all that. So to start off, I'm going to be doing single player, two-handed. So I'm going to be deleting these two characters here and playing with these two. So the first thing I'm going to do is shuffle all the decks. So shuffle the personal decks, shuffle these three here, shuffle the item deck, and shuffle the thought deck and the affliction deck. I think that's pretty much all you need for those. Maybe I'll shuffle these enemy decks. I think they're pre-shuffled, but I'll shuffle them just in case. And what we're going to do is take 4 of these at random. So I'm just going to do this, 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 and this. And I'm going to be stacking these on top of each other. 4 at random, stack them on top, and then stack them on top of that final piece there, which is the final part of the hallway. And that's pretty much our hallway deck. And I'm going to get rid of the excess characters here. And I'm pretty sure that's as far as setup goes. It's super simple. Oh, and to set up the collective consciousness here. By the way guys, it's been a long day, so I apologize. I apologize if my tiredness affects the gameplay. Hopefully it won't. But yeah, that's just, I guess, like a warning there. Cool. So I think we can get right into it. Going to resume as the first character here, Bastion. And I'm going to be drawing cards, like 1 card for each mind I have. I have 5 mind by default, but since we start with this affliction fog, it gives us -1 mind and this ability below that I'll explain in a second. So I'm going to be drawing 4 cards in total. And it's a relatively good deck. I don't think we need to use the ability of this thing here. So what this means is I can just discard any card in hand to the discard pile and draw a new card once per round, as with all sort of afflictions. And we get 3 movement by default every round. So I'm just going to keep these here. You can throw them away and refresh them if you want, but I find it kind of needless. Cool. So I'm going to move once to open this door. And what we want to do with movement is we're just going to flip it to use it, like any token in this new version. Another good way to flip these tokens is just to push them forward a bit. Either way, we go to success, so nothing happens. We're going to open the door here. I'll show you what a failure means in a second. I'm sure it'll naturally happen. We're going to open this door. Our second movement is going to be going on a new space. So I'm going to flip another one here. Another success. Pretty lucky. Cool. So for the first card drawn, or if our encounter deck is empty, which it is, we're going to be flipping this over and reading these instructions here. This hallway in specific is trapped. So to make the encounter deck, we're going to need 2 traps and 1 loose floorboard. I'm going to search through this deck here. one loose floorboard, and the traps are here at the start. We're going to be putting this off to the side here. We are going to be merging these. And down here in the descriptor, this skull indicates how many enemies you want to include in the deck. But since our current danger level, and by the way, something I forgot to do, it says increase danger by 1 immediately. It doesn't denote immediately, but that's what you're meant to do. So increase the danger track by 1. This still doesn't have any icon on it. So enemies, 2 enemies in this case, can only be added into the encounter deck if the danger track shows a rarity. This is common enemies, this is uncommon enemies, and this is rare enemies. Shown here, common, rare, uncommon, and rare. Since we're at a blank spot on the new danger track, on the new danger tile, we're not going to be adding any enemies. So this sort of first hallway system is a kind of buffer. It's the sort of introduction to the game. So we're going to be turning this upside down and shuffling it. And because we're on a new space, we're going to be immediately drawing an encounter card. So loose floorboard, +1 noise when moving onto this space. So even though I rolled a success, because it says +1 noise, we're going to be increasing. It's going to be an automatic failure, essentially. So this is what failure looks like. You can still move. A failure doesn't mean you can't move, but you gain 1 noise. So we're going to increase our noise meter by 1 here. And we still have 1 movement token left. We've used 2 to open the door and move forward. I'm going to use the final movement token here to open this door. So something I'm going to employ for this movement token. See our basic cards here. This basic deck is made up of 3 different types of cards. Freeze, which has this X at the top left. That means it's a fear suit. You cannot remove these from the deck as it shows there. Fight, which is a defiance suit, the circle in the top left, shown here on this track. I'll explain what all this means in a second, don't worry. So circle is defiance. And lastly, this small star is caution. 4-prong star. So this is a caution, defiance, and fear suits. So I can play these just like before, anytime during my turn. I can play as many as I have, except for this freeze, because it doesn't have a power to play. So you can only play cards if they actually show that you do something. What I was going to get to is I'm going to use 1 flight, which shows that I can either gain 1 evade, which is these tokens right here, or to guarantee 1 movement. The star means skill, so skilled movement essentially. You're not gaining a movement, you're just guaranteeing the next token use that the star's affiliated with. So by playing this into my discard pile, my next movement will be guaranteed to not make a noise. I don't need to flip this, it's guaranteed. So it's done. By the way, guys, if anything's ever confusing, just message me or leave a comment in this YouTube video. It's no worries at all. Cool, and that's pretty much the end of my turn. I want to conserve the rest of my cards, and I'll show you why on the start of that next turn. Something I didn't do, which is a bit of a shame, actually, is 2 things. So, 1, when you start this, you want to take off 3 cards, and you want to slip the stairs, this special event here, under the 3rd card of the incident deck here. So I'm going to slip that there. And we are going to put these on top of one another to make one deck. So essentially under the third card is that stairs special instant that I just put. And because it's the first round, we're going to draw one instant over here. So victim. A man stumbles out of the dark, tittering and afraid, but not irrecoverable. Place one mad survivor on the furthest hallway space from the living room. It should have been here, but ultimately I've moved here, so I'm just going to do this retroactively. I'm going to search for a mad survivor here, which is going to be somewhere around here, yep. And we are going to spawn him on my space. We'll spawn him on the living room because that's where he was meant to be. Because this was meant to be played immediately at the start of our round. And we're going to give the first order token to the mad survivor here. This is what he generates each round. I don't feel the need to give him these tokens personally unless someone's attacking him. Then we'll give him, the relevant token. He starts every round with 2 attack, 1 evade, 2 movement. So that's what he's going to be doing here. He has a couple special abilities we might go over in a bit. But most importantly, we can solve this instant at any time. So if we at any time contribute 2 evade, produce and contribute 2 evade, if we contribute them to this event, which we need to flip them as per usual with all tokens to succeed, if we somehow succeed both of these, then the mad survivor cannot produce attack anymore, and this instant is considered resolved and is removed from the instant bar here. So you can resolve instants at any time. Yeah, that's pretty much it, and we'll get into that a bit more in later rounds. But yeah, that's effectively the first turn. I'm going to pass on to this character here, Malia, and we're going to do the same thing, draw 4. So we've got 2 frees. I'm going to use Fog's ability. And I'm just going to move 1 space. That's crazy, is that? I was going to assume that was a failure, but that's actually insane. So putting the noise up by 1. And I'm going to enter this room here. So it's a bit crammed. This won't happen in the real game, obviously. This living room tile is still prototypal. So we're shuffling the room deck here and adding a room card. For our second movement, we're going to be going in. Another failure, lucky. And we're going to be, as with all rooms, roll immediately. We got 2 resolve. So we're going to be referring to this. We are currently in the laundry. So under the laundry here, with the 2 result, we're going to be referring to page 19. The mouth. There's a beeping, steady and high pitch. The noise unnerves you and makes your skin crawl. In a moment of impulse and against your better judgment, you swing open the door. The beeping is originating from the washer, and as if the washing machine noticed you, one final longer beep sounds out before the door to the washer pops open, swinging to the side to reveal its gaping maw. It feels laughable. What are the chances something worth having could be in there? So that's the basic description, is this first panel here. And then we have our options. So with events, you need to resolve one of these options to finalize the event and end it. This doesn't take any requirements. This is nothing. This requires a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or 4. We don't really know what this is, but if we refer to this, roll 1 die and resolve the related option, the requirement for this option is to do this first. So take the risk, rewarded or punished. It's a bit of a half-half, but I'm going to take the risk, I think, instead of leaving it alone. We could leave it alone and this just ends the thing. If it says nothing, it means it just ends. So resolve 1 die and roll 1 die and resolve the related option. 2. Got lucky. Nice. Rewarded. Draw 3 items, gain 1, discard the rest. Rosary, lavender bottle, family photo. These are all really good, actually. I'm going to do family photo and delete the other 2. So family photo, also something else. When you're in the room, you always gain 1 item and 1 key. So that's always the rule. That's always the static reward for being in the room or discovering a room for the first time. So we're going to grab those as well. Stapler, nice. So family photo, as with all items except for weapons, they're generally 1 use. So we're going to use this family photo to gain, as it says, 1 memory. A memory is this over here. So if we gain this, memories can specifically be used to cover up the negative effect of an affliction permanently, which is really nice. So we're going to place this here. We no longer get -1 mind from fog, but we can still use the beneficial ability of the reroll. So that's really nice. And I'm pretty much going to call that for that turn. I think we want to save these. Alright, cool. Next turn, we actually stay as Amalia though, because we are shifting, now that it's the next round, we're going to shift this token over here. We're going to shift this down 1, this event. We're going to draw a new one, Omens. +1 to all die rolls. And you have to successfully use 1 attack to solve it. And if you do, you discard all free suits in hand, which is a really nice little bonus. So to start off this turn, we're going to focus. So because we have cards in hand, we are going to discard all cards in hand. And for each suit, relevant suit we discussed before, we are going to up the relevant track by 1. So 2 evade suits, 2 caution suits, 1 defiance suit, and 1 fear suit. So up by 1, up by 2, up by 1. And then put them all in the discard pile. So what does this mean? This means defiance. Something that's being made irrelevant because of our memory. But essentially, if you're not fortunate enough to get a memory, defiance can cover up this for a round for the duration of having this bonus. By the way, I should preface, at the start of every turn, based on the discards, you reset the defiance and caution to whatever your new discard amount is. But fear always, it never gets reset automatically. It only gets reset if you trigger the final sort of thing. So defiance would normally be able to cover up this. It's like a temporary memory, but it also could act as a temporary patch. So for wounds, if we grab a wound here, crippled leg, defiance could also cover up the ability, this crippled leg, -1 move, could also cover up that for the turn. So it's quite versatile, but temporary ability. Whereas memories cannot cover up wounds. They can only cover up top affliction. Patches are meant for wounds, which I luckily also have. A Staveler can gain 1 patch. But yeah, I can discard that to gain a patch. Anyway, back to this game here. So the first ability is Defiance, like I mentioned. Second is may remove one card and discard. You may take any card in your discard and permanently remove it from your deck. Really good. This final one here, the result of a very sort of consistent deck, is that for the round, all attacks are guaranteed. Their result is guaranteed. So you've got the guaranteed start and then you've got infinity for all. This little one we've passed is just a guaranteed move like we used with the card a while ago. One guaranteed move. This is -1 cost for all cards in, -1 cost for the next card in the collective consciousness. So something hasn't been relevant to us yet, the collective consciousness, because we've had no fear, which is our bargaining power. This is about to become relevant. I'll show you in a sec, because it happens at the end of your turn. Anyway, because it's a new turn, we're going to draw 4. One nice hand. I'm going to keep that. We're not going to reshuffle here. So, something I actually forgot to do just before Amelia's turn was the enemy turn. So, because I'm tired, after player turns, enemies naturally have their turn. So this guy's going to move up to 2. If we refer to this priority list here, closest character in LOS, the closest character in LOS is Bastion. So he's going to target him. Rush, attack, vanish, slink. Rush is use all move towards target. So we're going to do that first. So we've got 2 movement. We only need to use 1. So he uses 1 movement here. We're just going to keep track in our head. Attack. Use all attack against target or door if blocking way to target. There's no door blocking the way. So he's just going to attack Bastion. He's got 2 attacks in memory. So essentially what he's going to do is I don't have any evade. He's going to flip these 2. I was unusually lucky. That is very lucky. He actually gets none of these attacks off. If I had any evade, these would essentially buffer against attacks. So say he got 2 attacks here. Because he got 1 attack, my evade cancels out one of those attacks. He's still got 1 attack through. Even if my evade failed, because I need to flip for that as well. Even if my evade failed, like so, if he got 2 attacks, that doesn't mean he does 2 wounds. That just means he succeeds in attacking. So he will deal what wound he has. This is an unusual situation, but Mad Survivor doesn't deal wounds. He deals noise. But luckily, like we saw before, he failed. So that's going to be that. And then for the third action here, vanish. If not in LOS, return to the pool. This is a really cool alternative way to fight enemies. So if you can somehow lock them behind a door or otherwise evade their sight when they move towards you, they will vanish. They will just disappear. It essentially, thematically represents them either losing interest or hiding in the house or otherwise being distracted. So we have a pacifist way, essentially, to get rid of enemies, and a safer way at that. Anyway, on to the 4th. Slink. If you have 0 attacks left, which he has, use all move towards the living room. So he's still got 1 movement in memory. So he's going to move back to the living room. This essentially is them hitting and running, slinking back into the darkness to attack again another time. Some enemies are bold enough that they don't slink, and it's specifically mentioned on their cards, but this one and most enemies will slink. So something else I forgot to do as well is to take the relevant token and just put it here to represent that this is a place that you always generate noise on. Alright, cool. Anyway, Amalia's turn. So Amalia it's very problematic actually. She will generate a noise moving out onto this space. That's just kind of how it is. Alright, move on. Guaranteed failure. And we are going to hit the red here. So what this means is, first of all, we reset this. We spawn an enemy correlating to the current danger level, which is luckily for us 0. So no enemy is spawned. But if it was 1 or uncommon or rare, like common, uncommon or rare, we would take one random, we would shuffle it, take one from the random pile and spawn it on the space we are on. Luckily for us, it's on a blank space. So, but something else that happens is we gain 1 attention token. Attention tokens, as shown on here, closest character in LOS. If there's a tie, the character with the most attention tokens in LOS gets targeted. So if I and Amalia run on space together, like we are now, the Mad Survivor will prefer Amalia over me, resulting in a lot of trouble for her. So yeah, that's what attention tokens do. And finally, we are going to move another time. So we've still got 2 movement left, I believe. So we're going to move on to a new space. Cool. So draw this card. Check what way we need to be facing. So when the cards are face down, they need to be, their arrow needs to be pointing away from the living room. So we're going to orientate it like this, so that when it's flipped, that arrow underneath is pointing away from the living room. We're going to attach it like that. Cool. We're also going to put this back in here. And to move on to this space, flip another move token. Lucky. Going to draw this, traps. Luckily we didn't make noise, otherwise we would have gained a bleeding wound. That's what traps do. I'm going to put 1 trap on here to indicate that. And then we're going to move again. So this time I don't want to take the chance. So I'm actually going to use a flight to guarantee our next movement. Just going to move straight on here. So we're going to orientate it again on this specific card, which is the last of the encounter cards. This is like a set, essentially. The trap set, specifically. It has a lock here. So when we flip this over, lock it in place, we're going to take a lock and put it on this final door here. Essentially what this means is this door cannot be opened. It needs to be broken down. Doors by default have 1 health, for the sake of enemies attacking it without dexterous. Enemies without dexterous can't just open doors, they need to attack doors. If they deal 1 damage to the door, it's broken. With a lock on, they have to deal 2, and so do you. So I'm going to put this lock on, put Amalia onto this space. Naturally this can be traps again, but since we made no noise, it wasn't a problem. I'm going to put these back here. And it is Bastion's turn now. One fear, 1 defiance, 1 caution. Cool. Actually, I'm going to go back to Amalia's turn. I forgot to do the final aspect of her turn. Final aspect of any turn is the breathe phase, which means we're going to access the collective consciousness once. Because we have 2 things actually that are really good. So we have 1 fear, 1 bargaining power, but the next cost of a card is actually -1. We can potentially pick up 2 1 costs here, or 1 2 cost. For Amalia, this is really cool. This is 3 cost, they're very rare. I'm going to take Slip, refresh immediately. And I'm going to take Panic and add both of those to my discard pile. Back to Zach's turn because that's over. All of these went up one. Something I was just thinking about as well. I forgot to apply that free power to Amalia's turn. She didn't actually need to use Slip there. Or, sorry, she didn't need to use her flight there because she got one for free. So that was misplayed by me. Cool. So, drawing 4. Also, on Amalia's next turn, luckily she'll draw 5 as well, which is really nice. So because I get this Defiance token here, I get to put that on Fog. I get my full complement, so I actually draw 1 more for a total of 5, which is really nice. And I'm going to reach off one of these. I don't really want that amount of fear yet. Oh. There you go, just draw another fear. I'm going to be using, well, I have one movement that's guaranteed, which is really nice. So we can move on to here with no problems. And then I'm going to be using a flight to guarantee the other movement safely. So we're both on the same turn here. And Amalia has a key. So on her turn, she can remove 1 lock on her space. But we're going to try and conserve it because keys are actually quite valuable commodity. I mean, I'll just give it a try. I'll try and break it down. If not, no harm done. Well, I mean, ineffectively, resource-wise, and might lead to problems up the road, but it's a demonstration, so I'm going to give it a go. Unlucky, but we did 1 damage. So I'm going to denote that with 1 health here. And cool. So another round ends after, I just need to do this again. The breathe phase. Take another 1 cost. I'm going to take this. Put it in my discard pile. Another round ends. These get moved down again. And another one gets added. So something to tell you guys about how this works. These are active. These always apply as long as they're on this little track here. This is active plus unresolved, which is quite a unique one, but essentially it means if it gets on this space, it doesn't just disappear. If unresolved, the Mad Survivor is still on the loose, essentially. Something like a true if unresolved. If this gets to the 4th space, unresolved, but this can't be resolved because it's a boss spawn, I guess. If this gets to the 4th spot, it happens. Nothing happens until it gets to that 4th spot. That's how if unresolveds work. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the demo there. Hopefully I covered most of what I needed to cover for this to be effective. If you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm trying to think of anything else on the spot that might be relevant. Don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered it. This little +1/+2 just means that all die in the game, if you're on this danger level, is increased by that amount. So if I roll a 3 for a room event or for some sort of skill check, and we're on +1, this is now a 4. This counts as a 4. And that's why you'll see on page 2 here, you're up to 5, because 5 is the highest potential roll, being a 3 on +2 difficulty. Cool. That's pretty much it. Thanks for sticking with me, guys. On you soon.